Hey, good morning. Welcome, everyone.
Hello, can you hear us?
Yes, we can.
Hi,
Me loud and clear. Jenny, I like your background. That's very
Thank you.
nice.
Thank you. Thank
Very
you.
natural. Chris, Rich, welcome,
How you
guys.
doing?
Hello.
Bud, Emily.
I found the camera. If I go like this, I'll find the camera.
Okay. Do I look serious enough? Oh, yeah. Now we can start. Welcome to the Facebook advertising workshop. We would like to thank Caloundra Chamber of Commerce for this opportunity to continue our network education. So our company is called I Need a Website. As our name suggests, our primary focus is building websites. We also build apps, and we bring warm leads from social media. And part of that is SEO and advertising. And just because we have just 1 hour today, I'll give it to Edward to continue straight to Facebook advertising.
Excellent. Thank you, Alex. Yeah, my name's Edward. I run websites on my own, and I met Alex in like the SEO meetups, and we kind of figured out that we have like the same interests and kind of click very good. So I started doing Facebook ads for Alex, and then we had this idea of doing this workshop because we would come across so many things when we pick up accounts. They were like, okay, let's educate people. So let me jump straight into it and show you basically the main elements of a Facebook ad and how you can spend a lot of money and get nothing, and how you can spend a lot of money, get a lot, or spend nearly nothing depending on your budget. So everything's in there. And what I'd say is, yeah, because it's an hour, we used to do 3 hours, but that was too long. Online, you can't keep your attention for 3 hours. I'm just going to touch on things, and if you kind of need something more, just bump in. Let me know. I'm going to share my screen now. So here we go. Share screen. So I hope you can all see that now. Oh. Wonderful. My controls are right over my thing. So let's start the presentation again. I go into full screen. Here we go. Excellent. So first slide. What I'd like to start with is, first of all, talk about the current status of ads. Where are we looking at? A lot of questions I get is related to being not aware of where ads are at the moment. Then I'm going to talk what I need to for a successful Facebook ad, what a campaign objective is. It's the first thing you get asked when you want to do an ad on Facebook. What a marketing funnel is. I won't go too much into detail there, but it's part of the waste a lot of money or kind of play it safe approach to know how that works, and how do Facebook audiences align with a marketing funnel, because that's the second big stumbling block in a Facebook ad: campaign objective and the definition of an audience. Then I'll briefly touch the elements and structures of a Facebook ad, because they are a little bit different to what you would normally assume. And I'll give you a few pointers on where to start. After that, kind of coming to the end, I'll show you how I actually optimize for profitability. It's a very simple approach. I call it the slice and dice approach. So let's get started. Here we go. The current status of Facebook ads. Have a look at the numbers on the right. These are dollar signs. And it's cost per action. Cost per action is a pretty generic thing, but it tells you that it's quite expensive. And the reason for that is the ads are actually gone up, they shot up. And one of the things is there's so many more people now bidding to get their ad in front of the same audience. It's a competition, it's an auction. And people are basically willing to spend that type of money. So, and I'd like to show this because sometimes I get these things where someone comes up and says, it cost me over $10 to get someone to ring me. Oh, that's really cheap. Actually, it can cost you $40 to $100 to get someone to ring you, depending on the industry you're in. Okay. But, and this is what I'd like to point out today, Facebook does a lot more than just bringing you people to ring you. I know we all like that. That is like the one thing I hear all the time. I want people to ring me. Be prepared for that type of costs. That is still kind of successful there. I used to think that it was just way too much and people are going bankrupt, but no, that's normal today. Cost per action. So you pay $4 per click. Every 10th person you convert, that's $40 for an action. You know, so just think about it that way. But I'm going to show you a few things today and a few ideas on how you can use Facebook advertising without spending that. You might not get that phone call out of the ad, but hey, let's see how it goes. So here we go. Come on. Why aren't you doing anything? It was just too slow. So here we go. So this is the first thing you get to see when you open up an ad. And let me try and do that now. Here, just a second. I have to. Yeah, there we go. That's how I'm going to do it. Oh yeah, one thing maybe, because not all of you might have a business ad manager. Please do not place ads just like that because Facebook says boost your ad or so. Open up a business manager. You get to the business manager, you see that triangle there on the right, and you see I've got one already. Once you press on that one, you get to this, and a business manager is basically just a repository for your assets, which can be an ad account, a page, a Facebook page, other things. But it gives you so much more tools to work with. And let me just show you what you get. So these are all tools you can use for advertising once you've got a business manager. I won't go into the details here of that thing, but that is interesting to browse through. You might find some real nuggets there. But let's say, okay, you've got an ad account. You click on the ads manager. Ads manager, that's where you do ads in. And this thing pops up. I've got a vanilla account here, nothing done, nothing in yet. And you can see three structures: campaigns, ad sets, and ads. You always start with a campaign. A campaign defines your objective. And here we go. See? That thing pops up. What is your marketing objective? Most people stumble over this one, unfortunately. Why that? Everyone goes, I want to have a conversion. I want to have someone to ring me. As it turns out, that's the most expensive thing you can ask for, because everyone wants that. And because you make so much money, if someone rings you and you get them as a customer, people are willing to pay a lot of money for exactly that. But what is it actually? And that's why, let me get back to the slide now. I've prepared something to let you better understand what you're actually looking at here and what you're doing by selecting any of these objectives. On the far left, you saw like an objective called reach. And that is basically 100% of your audience. Reach is very interesting. It's your billboard by the side of the road. It's your TV ad, basically. You kind of say, from the audience that I've defined, I want 100% of that to see that ad. That's on the far left side. So if you say conversion, I want a conversion, what Facebook actually does, it applies a filter to the audience you have defined. It says, out of the people that I've defined I want to target, I'm going to pick the ones that are most likely to convert. Okay, so it's a filter. Same thing if you say like objective is I want a lead, which is filling out a form, giving away your email address, something like a follow-up phone call or so. There are some people that would never fill that out, never ever. Others are happy to do that. So if you say my objective is to get leads and you define an audience, you basically filter within that audience for people that want a lead. If you say video as an objective, and let's go back there. Let me just get back to that screen. So you see, if you say like my objective is video views, you get out of the audience that you've defined, those people that love watching videos. Okay? So this is kind of like fundamental to understanding this stuff. You see over here, reach, that is like really everyone. And over here is the ones that are most likely to convert to what you define. You want a phone call? Okay. Catalog sales. Facebook has its own shop now. You can basically put products in on Facebook, and then you can say, I want people to buy off that shop, or I want people to go to my store and have a look at it. So you see, these are like specific things where Facebook filters the audience for you. Okay, so now this thing defines basically how you spend your money. Because as I said, you are competing for basically the same audience with tons and tons and tons of other companies. And the really good companies that have really big advertising budgets and agencies, they have figured out how much they pay depending on what it does. So for example, you say like, conversions, I want people to buy something off you, but your product is like $5,000. Nobody's going to see an ad and straight away click on, I'm going to spend $5,000. So for a lot of products, it makes sense to make them aware of your brand. See, brand awareness, to maybe create traffic, maybe show people some videos of you and, as we say, warm them up, maybe get their email in exchange for an ebook, or maybe engage with them via Facebook Messenger. So basically, these things can be a lot cheaper than going for that. But they are a lot cheaper because they do not automatically lead to a sale. And I'd like to make the point now, because that was something that I really didn't do the last one, and I want to make that point now. A lot of people say, I want to make a Facebook ad to get a sale. And yet you're paying $10,000 for a radio ad. And you don't question that ad. But you go to Facebook and you say, I want that sale. Play around with reach, especially on the Sunshine Coast. If your audience is local, you define that audience, you've maybe got 40,000 people. Out of that 40,000 people, you want Facebook to filter only those that now want to have your business. That's not much to work with. And those people might be really, really expensive at the moment. And then if they click, you still have to convert them into customers. I'd like to kind of invite you, if you're playing around with Facebook ads, to test the reach. Because you can get it quite cheap and you can learn a lot from it. And let me just show you, like with this one here, just as an example, what you can do later on. Just keep that in mind. I've got something prepared where I did reach to learn. I didn't do reach to convert. I did reach to learn. In the second step, I did that. But first, I did reach. But yeah, so this is the thing that you get to set up. Now, let's go into conversions. I just click on conversion and call it a campaign name. And what I tend to do in campaign names is I really make it very clear what it is that I want. Get phone calls. Or get purchase. Purchase is easier. Yeah, my line is in the way of typing, sorry. Here we go. Now, you see these fancy boxes underneath here. This is really advanced. A/B test means you can do several different ads and see how they perform. You can have Facebook automatically optimize your budget. Leave that for the time being. Just click on continue. This is like when you're a bit more experienced with that. You can play around with that and see how it goes. Now, it goes straight away into ad set. What is an ad set? In an ad set, you define your audience. If you stick to that simple structure, you can do really nice organization of your ads. So campaign, define your objective, ad set, define your audience. And you see like how Facebook has preset the name to all of Australia, everyone older than 18 years. That's what this thing says, AU 18 plus. I'll just go Sunny Coast Mail, just for fun. Destination, because it's a conversion, website, app, messenger, WhatsApp. So you don't need to send people to a website. You can send them anywhere you like, but I'm just going to stick with website and see how it says pixel. Pixel is something you need your technician to install on your website. It basically measures what people do on your website, and it is the most important part of Facebook advertising. This thing is where the value of Facebook is in. It's installed, so yeah, I can choose an event. So the pixel that I've installed on my website gives me the chance to kind of measure if someone did a registration, did a search, asked for contact, submitted an application, add to cart, donate, subscribe. You can see that, and here comes purchase. See, verify your pixel. So something is in this ad account not right with a pixel. Tells me straight away. Well, let's assume that it works. Cost control. Again, I would call this an advanced measure. It's something you can play without it. Leave it away. I'll show you how you control your costs the easiest way. Dynamic creative, that just again means you can create 10,000 ads out of one ad and let Facebook change things and do stuff. Leave it all off. Here comes the important part, the audience. Create new audience, use saved audience, custom audiences. You can see the location of the audience, the age, the gender, languages, and then you've got show more options, which is interests and all this kind of thing. All people, connections. Now, before I fill this thing out, let's go back and have a look how audiences are defined the Facebook way. But yeah, have a look here on the right-hand side. You see this audience size? Your audience selection is fairly broad. That's an understatement. Everyone in Australia over 18 years. Potential reach 18 million people. Based on 7-day click and 1-day view conversion window, I can reach up to 2,900 people, and I could have between 16 and 46 conversions. How on earth does Facebook do that? I haven't even defined anything. I have done. I've actually defined a goal, which is conversion and purchase. So with being as broad as you can in Australia, Facebook kind of gives me these numbers, and they will change the more detailed you get in your audience targeting. So this is something we also would like to stress out. There is no one-size-fits-all approach. You define your audience as best as you can, and you look at that size here. And if you see that number here go down like 2,000 or maybe just 500 people, nah, it's not going to be enough. Unless, of course, you do reach. But even then, to get 1,000 people, it'll take you probably a week, because they all have to be on Facebook. They all kind of have to be scrolling through things that Facebook can actually show them your ad. And then you're still competing with other ads. So I find a healthy number to be 10,000 upwards. Okay, but yeah, this is where you really play around, and you can see a lot of things happening there, And it's not going to be reality, but it's going to give you an indication. So let's just go straight into the audience definition the Facebook way. Here we go. So this image you will see a lot of time on the internet. Everyone uses it to define a funnel. Top of the funnel is people that are not aware of you, that have no clue that you exist. The bottom of the funnel is people that know you, that like you, and if you put the right offer in front of them, they're going to become your customers. And in between, well, you kind of have to find a way to get them from there to there. That's basically the basic funnel. And you can see here, this is really nice chocolate bit at the bottom, aka the conversion. How do the audience definitions fit to this funnel? Where is it? Hey, I've lost my, that's not nice. I'm just clicking through here. Okay, I'll just do that manually then. I thought I had it. Over here, the top of the funnel, this is what you do when you get a saved audience. And I'll just create a saved audience with you now. Let's flip back and let's do create a new audience. Okay, here we go. So I want create new. Let's just start with this one. I want everyone from the Sunshine Coast. Sunshine Coast, Queensland. Now you get a nice map with a radius. Seems to need some time to load. There we go. This is basically what you've just defined as an area where you want people in. Okay. Include or exclude. See, you could also define an ad where you say, I don't want anyone from Caloundra. Or I don't care for the Noosa crowd. Exclude Noosa. But we just said the whole of Sunshine Coast. We want 18 to 65. And we are selling to women, so we only want, no, I said men. Let's just do men. Men. Oh yeah, by the way, look at this. All 240,000 people. Men, 100,000 people. Women, 140,000 people. So according to Facebook, there are more women than men in the thing. Now have a look at this number here, estimated daily results between women and men. Men seem to be more likely to target than women on the Sunshine Coast with purchase and conversion. See that? So we stick with men. Detailed targeting expansion on. This is like something that Facebook automatically puts in to get your ad in front of more people. I always kind of switch this thing off because I want people to only get what I want. Okay, so what demographic interest or behavior am I chasing now? Let's say runners. I want to get runners. Interest running. The runners. Description, people who have expressed an interest in or like pages related to the runners. New York Road Runners. Road Runners Club of America. The Maze Runner. The Blade Runner. You see, you can see just by typing in runner, Facebook gives you like a lot of things. And let's just stay with this one, running. You see how Facebook tells you 335 million people have an interest in fitness, wellness, and running. That's Facebook wide, of course, not Sunshine Coast. But have a look what happened now. According to Facebook, if I'm targeting runners on the Sunshine Coast, I've got 33,000 people. And this is where a bit of experience comes in. Play around with it. There is no straight answer. Does it make sense for me now to kind of define ultra runners? Or I've already said only men. I've said running, I've said Sunshine Coast, and there are 33,000 people. Yes and no, depending on what you sell. Sometimes it's just good to use that audience as it is, and in a later stage, slice and dice. But yeah, if I see something like this, 33,000 people, I'd normally go, I'm going to spend my time on something else. I could spend like hours now better defining my audience, but 30,000 people, that's a nice number for local advertising. Of course, like as I say, if you like selling something through Australia, you might say, well, 30,000 is good for testing, but 100,000 is better for testing. So but that's experience. Just always watch this number here, because what happens a lot, what I see is I can't get any ads to show up. And then you look at what people have done and you go, oh my goodness, they've defined their audience to only 2 people between 30 and 35 that are ultra runners on the Sunshine Coast and vegans. That's not a big audience. You can't go that detailed and expect Facebook to go, I'm going to bring you lots of customers, unfortunately. But you have to understand, someone has to open their app, Facebook, browse through Facebook, and there are only so many ads they can show them. So especially if you're gunning for like cheap ads, you kind of have to know that they're not going to give you priority just like that. So take this 10, 30, 50,000 people. I wouldn't waste my time further on defining a better audience. I've got runners on the Sunshine Coast. Let the ad do the work. Okay? So this is, from a setup point of view, what I've figured out over the years. Languages, yeah. Connections is interesting. You can actually go in and say, I only want to target people, friends of people who like your page. It may sound weird to ask that, but yeah, maybe you're selling something that's great for birthday presents. You're not targeting the one that has the birthday, you're targeting his or her friends. This is like where this stuff comes in, but this is really advanced. I normally couldn't be bothered. I'm just kind of going, that's it, save the audience. Yeah. And now it says, Sunny Coast, mile. And maybe running. Something like that. Just with the names, always be aware. You have to recognize what you did there. There's no convention. Whatever works for you. Okay. Now comes placements, automatic or manual placements. Start with automatic. Facebook shows it everywhere, on Instagram, on mobile, on the desktop, and you'll kind of get a feeling where your ad performs better. Some ads perform really, and some products perform really well on mobile, others perform really well on desktop. That's part of the learning process. So I would keep that on for automatic. Later on, I'll show you how to switch things off and on depending on how your initial ad is actually working. Budget and schedule. This is a biggie. What do I put in here? And you can see how Facebook says $20 a day. That's $140 a week. You can really like blow a lot of money. This is like a small budget for Facebook, by the way. This is the Sunshine Coast. Okay, but we are going for conversions. I said conversions, especially purchases, are quite expensive. So someone like Sunshine Coast Washers and Fridges selling a fridge might be happy to pay $50. A lawyer might be happy to pay $100. You just have to be aware of that. By selecting purchase and conversion, you've put yourself cost-wise in the upper end of ads, because you're competing with others that want the same person to buy from them. But that is something you have to be aware in your first step. And it might work for you. I said, like, something like a lawn care business that has ongoing customers for years might say, I'm happy to pay $100 for one person because I've been mowing that lawn for 5 years. That same person is the same person you've targeted to sell maybe a $30 product. Are you going to be successful? Probably not. But that's one thing you have to be aware of. But how do you get the most out of your budget? That's the big question when you're here. What do I put in? I put in $5. That's it. That's every single ad I do starts with $5 religiously. It's kind of like the minimum budget. I let it run for a week and I see that I got no ads whatsoever. Nothing. Then I know that I'm not going anywhere with $5. $10 it is. See what happens. It sounds funny, but it is, if you're really budget conscious, it helps to kind of go upwards. There are a lot of strategies where you go, no, it's not going to work. It's not going to help. You better start big. But you're doing it on your own. You've got time. You know what I mean? If a week goes by and nothing has happened, you have not wasted a single dollar. See it this way, you know? You're paying an agency to get something going. Well, time is money, but you're doing it yourself. So don't start with $100 because you might be wasting a lot. Start small and go with your budget up. See what happens. The good thing with Facebook and Google and all ads is you can shut them down. Always be aware of that. If you don't like what's happening, you can always press the off button. So don't be afraid. If you really say, I don't know, $20 a day, start with $5. The reason I often start with $5 is, it's funny, but it makes Facebook more focused. You don't have much budget. Facebook will try and spend the budget. So it'll try and spend it in the best way possible. It's again part of the learning process that I say, if I don't really know a market or niche, this is kind of like the getting the most out of it. If there's nothing happening, you've overplayed your hand. Well, go a bit higher, see what happens. But yeah, if you put in $100 straight away, you get a lot of results, but you also get a lot of waste. You get a lot of loss. If you're spending $20 a day, I would say you have to watch the account every day. Because every day you're spending $20 and that might be $20 down the drain. So that's something personal. That's something how much time you've got. But yeah, don't be afraid to just put $5 in and see what happens. That's basically what I'd like to place here. It's not going to hurt. You're not going to lose. If nothing happens, that's the worst thing that can happen. Okay, so we've got $5 going. And see how it says here, conversion smaller than 10 and reach 210 to 608 people. Facebook still hasn't seen your ad. It still hasn't seen your website. It has no clue what it is. But so these are average figures. I take these figures as kind of like a benchmark. If I'm better than them, I'm happy. If I'm worse than what I see here, there's room for improvement in the ads. But yeah, we've got that covered now. So we've got an audience size. We've got something happening. We've got a budget. We've defined our audience. Now comes the ad. Now this always gets fun. The ad itself is different to other mediums, especially if you come out of Google ads or something like that, because it is very image focused. And let me just go back to my other slices and show you what I mean with that. Just to say slides, here we go. Lift on that one. This was where I just basically set out how things can cost differently. If you look to the right-hand side here, you can see how like a conversion is so much more expensive than a lead in a very extreme way. This is something I left out. Can't measure the action. As I said, the pixel is the one thing that you really need to have going if you're doing Facebook ads. If Facebook can't measure what's happening on the website, it doesn't know if it's a good ad. It wants that. So make that pixel work. Here was the audience. Okay. Let's go to the ads, the ad element. What you see here is a preview that you get that Facebook creates. Okay. And the one thing that you see is Facebook puts the image centrally. So whatever placement you have, Instagram, desktop, mobile, the image is visually the most important part in Facebook. But Facebook adds some more text to it. And this is where the different comes in a little bit. This is really just for you to be aware of. And normally the headline and the description, so the stuff down here, is the most important part. Facebook has a primary text. And what I'd like to show you is look at Instagram. See how the headline and the description doesn't show up? It's the primary text that shows up. So where is the difference and how do you handle this with your normal approach that you know from sales, a headline, a description, and an action button? The primary text is a lead in. That's how I would say it. It's something that makes you stop. The headline and the description is what makes you act. Always keep in mind with Facebook, people are browsing through their stream. They've got all kinds of stuff there. Facebook adds this primary text to give you a method together with the image of stopping people in their tracks. Okay, that is something that is unique to a Facebook ad. It's this primary text. And now let me show you like an example where you can see it. I find it's a very nice example so you understand what the primary text is about. These guys do something for editors. So very specific niche market. They picked a picture that stops you. It's a dog looking at you. It's a very simple psychological trick to pick such an image. The headline fits perfectly to the image. Tired of waiting for the perfect way to plan your editorial. The description gives you a bit more information about what they're actually doing. But it's interesting how this primary text gives you kind of like their value proposition. Airtable lets you build your editorial workflows your way. Turns out, it's a big issue with editors. So this is, this is kind of like, as I'd call it, the dog poo on the road that stops you, together with the image. And then you kind of see this thing and you go, ooh, okay, this is interesting for me. Notice how only people that are editors will react really on this. People look at the face and go, oh, this is a cute dog, but we'll just go on. But editors that know that issue and know how nice it would be to have that will kind of react to it. And then with the headline together, the normal headline as you know it, the call to action, you've got a good ad together. Okay. Now, let me go back here and go to this one. I just showed you a saved audience. Before I move on, I'd like to jump back and tell you what a lookalike audience is or custom audiences. This is where your actual value in Facebook lies in. If you've got your Facebook pixel running, you can define custom audiences. And let's just go back and do that. Well, there we go. So, see here this back button? You can always go back if you're creating an ad. I have an audience, but let me use create new audience and create a custom audience. Create new custom audience. Have a look at that. You can have a customer list. Maybe you're sending emails out to your customers. Facebook, on average, if I do that, matches 70% of emails to existing people on Facebook. You got an app and you want to target people that are interacting with your app, you can do that. Or maybe you've put a good video on and people interacted with that video and you'd actually like to get in, target the people that saw your video. You can do that. But let's just go website. That's the normal thing. See how it says here in the website, and it says, need Facebook pixel. Well, you know, here we go. Add people to your audience. My pixel, all website visitors in the past 30 days. Now I could say, people who visited specific web pages. And then I would say, contact us. Just like to have something. And then I'd say, when your audience, web viz, contact us. 30 days. That's like how I write my stuff, you know? So you've just created an audience of people that visited you in the last 30 days and were interested in contacting you. Now, I can hear you think, why would you do that? They already contacted me. The value of Facebook is not so much in this, but in the next step. Let's create that audience. Facebook actually helps you. And here it goes. Create a lookalike audience. This is Facebook's greatest strength. I cannot stress this more and more. You have 30, let's say 180 days of people contacting you. And you want people to contact you. The lookalike audience is all those people that have never contacted you, but are very similar to those that have contacted you. Okay, just stop and think about that potential. You've got a pixel running on your website. You've got purchases. You've got people contacting you. As I said, measuring is everything. If you like people to call you, make sure that you can track on your website if someone picks up the phone and calls you. Because what you get then after a while is a lookalike audience in Facebook. People that are very similar to those that have already been in contact with you. You can spend days and months trying to figure out who your audience is. Facebook does that. Okay, so if you want to have new customers, of course, you can always target your old customers and make them come back. That's what the custom audience is for. Then you can, but just let that sink in. Facebook will look for people that are very similar to those that are already your customers. And gets even better, depending on how good your pixel is. You might even say, if you're selling online things that cost $5,000, and you've got a few customers that repeatedly every month come back and spend $5,000 with you, you could say, find me people that are similar to those high spenders. And all of a sudden it makes sense why people are willing to pay $30 per click. That is really important to understand. I mean, you have to kind of know how much you're making on a customer to determine if the Facebook ad works for you or not. But the lookalike audience is like amazing. Okay, so let's create a lookalike audience. And I'll call that, so this is like, or lookalike source is web visitors, contact us 30 days, location Australia, 1% means I want it very tight, very, very tightly. You could go 7%, then it's just kind of, see here, estimated reach 184,000. Now let's go into 553,000. 184,000, let's leave it there, create audience. And see, all of a sudden it says here, I can't determine the audience at the moment because this is a very unique thing. It will generate that audience as you go. but it's a very, very powerful thing in Facebook. If you've never played with a lookalike audience, do that. But as I said, low-hanging fruits, get existing customers to come back. That's the custom audience. That's probably as simple as I can put it. You have existing customers, you've measured their interaction, you want them to come back to you, you want to place an ad that brings them back to you, custom audiences. You want to have new customers that have never interacted with you, but are very similar to those that have, lookalike audience. You're just starting out, you have no existing customers whatsoever, nothing, you're like a new business, or you've never had a pixel running on your website, you have no data whatsoever, saved audience. I hope this makes kind of sense. But yeah, this is like how I kind of see things. Saved audience, of course, is like everyone. Those ads normally don't perform well because you're learning a lot. But as you go by with time, you gain insights into your audience. So what you could do, for example, is today, tell your website company to put the pixel on, and then do nothing for half a year. And then come back and say, I've got half a year of people that have bought off my website or that have contacted me through my website, and now I'm going to target them. That might actually be cheaper than saying, I'm going to try and get cold people that have never interacted with me. I have no clue who they are, what ads they like. It's a strategy for saving money. Let that pixel run on your website for a while and let it gather information about your customers, then start ads. You've got time. An agency wouldn't do that. You wouldn't be paying me 6 months to have a pixel running in the background, but you can do that. Hope that makes sense. So let me just go back to that ice cone. So you see, saved audiences are people that you can define by demographics, interests, and behaviors. But you still don't know if they're going to buy from you or call you. Lookalike audiences are people that are similar to your existing customers. So they're like a stage more towards the funnel. So these are the ones that have connected with you, custom audiences. These are the ones in the middle where you kind of go, let me show them a video. Let me introduce myself. Saved audiences. Here we go. Let's throw a ball and see what happens. But even if you do saved audiences, I will show you how you can learn. The $5 a day comes in, but there's something else that I'd like to show you, because it's a basic process of how you improve your ads. So let's say, that was one too far. You've got this ad running. So you see these are runners. They're all good. The ad's running for a while. Yeah, your ad, it ticks all the boxes that they should. Everything is perfect. Maybe it's not. I ran this ad on the Sunshine Coast and it tanked, completely tanked. It ticks the boxes. So why on earth did it tank? See, I've even got a nice, lovely woman smiling at the man that it was directed at to go and get some photos. And it was using, like, you know, fear of missing out, so FOMO. It happens. This thing should have actually done a bit better than I was expecting. So what did I do about it? Okay, first of all, and this is very interesting here, I'll show you this. Once you've got an ad running, once you've got an ad running, you get quality rankings, engagement rate rankings, and conversion rankings. Facebook actually tells you after a while what it thinks about your ad. See here, quality and engagement. These are more audience-focused things. So parameters. So the audience that I've defined, who am I competing against? What other ads are they seeing? And Facebook tells you that this thing is underperforming compared to what else the same people are seeing. That's basically what it says. It's a dynamic thing. People sometimes ask me, oh, last week I was above average, now I'm below average. Well, this week someone placed ads that are better than yours. It happens. It also happens the other way around. You are in a constant competition with others, but Facebook tells you what the story is. So this is one way of knowing where you're going to look at. Conversion rating here, right? This one here on the right-hand side, this is what happens on your website. So you are perfect in this part here, in quality and engagement, and then you're sending people to your website and it just tanks because your website is bad. Yes, that is actually the most common scenario for a commercial agency. We've done everything we can. Well, you're still not getting a customer because your website is bad. Facebook is so nice to tell you that. And again, you're in an auction, which means there's no absolute saying, oh, my website is awesome. It's your website is better or worse than the competition that's also placing ads. If that makes sense. If like your competition is like really bad websites out of the 90s and no one has ever spent money on a website and you're doing this really nice thing that ticks all the boxes, you're above average. But if you're placing ads and competing with a global corporation that has like a 5-star rated digital agency and a budget of like a few million a year, really good copywriters and really good graphic artists and the lot, and 10 years of experience in these ads, you might have a hard time. But we're local. We're kind of like, it doesn't tend to be a big issue like on the Sunshine Coast. Everyone's kind of like with a normal website and pairing, but this is what I just like to show. But the actual work comes here now. Let me do this one. Come on, don't do this to me. Yeah, how to trim the audience, that's it. Once an ad is running, you go on the ad, you'll see like charts, and you'll see these performance, demographics, placement, delivery. I just picked out demographics. See how I basically said men, no women. So they are men, but have a look at how some age groups just respond better. Like the 65 plus group is just smashing it. They are getting way more reactions to the ad for what they're showing compared to the 45 to 54. See that? So the most simplest way to optimize your ad once it's running is basically copy the ad and define your audience as 65 plus only. It's that simple. You might not get that many people now that see the ad, but at least you know that with this ad that you've placed, it responded extremely well to 65 plus. And it responded okay to 25 to 34 and 35 to 44. So that's why I always say, run an ad for a week. Run it on a budget that is small so you don't have too much waste. Have a look what happens. Placement over here would show you how they worked on mobile or desktop. I have, like last week, I looked at an ad account. Just imagine that. Facebook was sending mobile people to a website that only converted on desktop because it wasn't working on mobile. There was a bug. His ads just tanked because he had placed them at mobile. But his website was having a technical issue on mobile. So if he would have simply just switched the ad over and looked at that 2 days into the ads and kind of go, ooh, mobile is completely tanking. Let me switch it to desktop only. He would have seen better performance of the ad. He didn't even change the ad. He didn't change the audience, the objective. He just would have seen it. And this is the other really important thing I'd like to place with you. Don't be afraid to put an ad up. Don't be afraid to put a budget on. Don't be afraid to define an audience. Let it run for a few days and check back every day you have a coffee. I call it the 6-minute approach to Facebook. Just have a look at that, these numbers. have a look how they're developing. You'll see trends. It's just, you'll see that. Your gut feeling will basically tell you if you're happy with it or not. And it's digital. You can just stop it and create a new ad if you like to. It's not going to hurt. So this is the one thing that I'd like to place with you in this workshop. Don't be afraid to do a reach campaign where you target everyone, because a reach campaign has no filter. It will tell you how many people clicked on an ad, how many people reacted to your ad, how many people actually became your customers. Then you can kind of go, okay, now I'm only going to take the ones that were my customers and continue an ad with them. And you can think of some other ways to continue an ad with those that didn't become your customers. But this is the structural approach to Facebook ads. Put something up, let it run, look at these stats, and then look at what the performance is and slice those away that don't perform. Now, one thing I'd like to show you too is, and this is like just something that you must be aware of. Again, here we go. Images define your audience. I see this all the time. This is a classic example. Look at who outperforms on this ad with this lady. NBN installations. The image-centric aspect of Facebook lets me sometimes say, I don't feel comfortable doing an ad on Facebook because I can't see a good picture. Or maybe you've got a lot of pictures. Well, you want this ad to perform better with the 35 to 44. Look for someone that is 35 to 44. You want to target women, look for a woman. You want to target men, either beautiful woman or really good-looking man. There is so strong correlation in the image, especially if you do different images, that I sometimes go, okay, I'm going to do the same ad with an image for an old woman, middle-aged woman, woman with kids, tradie, surfer, you know, you name it. Just pick your stereotypes, make an image, put them all into one pot, let them run for a week, and then just for every single ad, trim the ones away that are not working. You've got 10 ads, but at least every single one of them is working. Oh, every ad is just giving you 2 customers a month. Well, it's just digital. Then you create 100 ads. Then you have 200 customers a month. Free yourself from this mindset that you have a killer ad that will bring in millions of people. It is digital. It costs nothing to put ads up. It costs nothing to close them down. And it costs nothing to trim the audience. And if you get into a rhythm of looking at your account, over time, you will just get more profitable. Because you learn so much about your audience. Of course, that still means you need to make a good ad. That is something, of course, that I can't teach you in an hour how to make a good ad. But have a look at what other people are doing. What I do a lot is, if I like to learn about pest control ads, I would be interested in pest control on Facebook. And guess what? Facebook starts showing me pest control ads. It's sometimes that simple to get to see what others are doing. Just be interested in it, and you will start seeing ads. And then you get an idea of what you can do too. There's no shame in copying as long as you're not violating some copyrights or so. Put them up. In the end, always look at these things and see where they're outperforming, where they're underperforming. Is mobile working? Is desktop working? And the ad that you do might be just like this ad working for women 55 to 64. Well, that's the audience for that ad. Want a different audience? Do a new ad. Does this kind of make sense? Yeah, because I just realized the hour's over. Woo. But
Thank you, Edward, and thanks everyone for attending. You will also receive by email the recording of the workshop, and there will be also a link to our questionnaire. We would like to know your opinion about the workshop and maybe some things that we can improve for the next time. And yeah, thanks everyone.
yeah. Any questions, by the way, before we go? Anyone got something where goes, I'd really like to pop that question?
Yeah, I've got a couple of questions.
Mm-hmm.
Hear me okay? When you were talking about the lookalike audience before, if you were launching into a new region, would the lookalike audience still work in that region? So,
Perfect.
For example,
it would be perfect because it's looking for lookalikes. So what I do, for example, a lot, and it's a really old technique. I can only recommend that book. It's called Scientific Advertising by Claude Hopkins, written somewhere in the 1920s. The strategies there described are basically what Google and Facebook do today. But it's about coupons. And what they say is, they say, test an ad on a small audience. So if you're nationwide, test it in Brisbane. Okay, then you kind of find exactly the people that it works with in Brisbane, and then you define a lookalike for Sydney or for Melbourne. And Facebook will give you people in Sydney that are very much similar to those in Brisbane that liked and reacted with your ad. That is the big strength of Facebook. The big companies do it all. If you wonder why Facebook changes their layout so often, Australia and New Zealand are guinea pigs for the word. Facebook rolls out changes to the interface in a small market like Australia to see how we react on those changes, and then decides if they want to roll out to the word or not. Do the same thing. Maybe like you don't, if you're testing something for the Sunshine Coast and Noosa is the furthest away from you, test your ad in Noosa before you test it in Caloundra. But if you test it in Noosa and things go wrong, well, it's not that bad. Know what I mean? If it works really well, look alike in Caloundra. Hope that makes sense.
it does, thank you. My other question is just, I do a lot of ads around recruitment, and I'm getting a lot of rejections on those because my business name is Laundry Lady. So I'm getting rejected on discriminatory, and also my contractors work from home, which we put that wording into the ad. So both of those things are getting rejected a lot. And I'm not really sure how to get around that, because I can't avoid using the word lady, and I can't really avoid telling them that it'll be work from home.
To a certain degree, you can't. There is unfortunately a lot of businesses that cannot advertise on Facebook anymore. It's basically a whack-a-mole game. So you're probably going into an area where people have been abusing these words to target adult kind of things. And Facebook has said, no, we don't allow that. So whatever comes closer just gets stamped out. We have the similar thing at the moment with face masks. People have been abusing face mask ads to a point that Facebook shut them down for some while. They're just slowly opening things again. If you kind of get into that area, really try and do an ad without using the words. The image says everything, while the words, if you look at some face mask ads at the moment on Facebook, you get the drift how they're working. They show you a photo of a face mask, but the words don't do any claims like antiviral or something like that. But it is a tricky game.
Does it pick up on words on the image? Like if you
yes,
put work
definitely.
from home on the image, it does pick that up.
Yeah, they analyze the image too. For example, I had a gift hamper that I wanted to advertise recently, and it came with a bottle of champagne. The ad was disapproved because you're not allowed to advertise alcohol. Nowhere did it say alcohol. It was the image that showed the champagne bottle.
Right.
And that's why I think the 80-20 rule comes in. If you're really struggling to get something going on Facebook, don't do it on Facebook.
Well,
there are
it's
other
funny because
advertising
sometimes, like, I'll run the exact same ad in 2 different locations, and one will be approved and one will be rejected.
It's a whack-a-mole job. You just you have to decide if you want to put up with that or if you just choose another platform. It's financial services is the same thing. There are some areas that really struggle to get their ads onto Facebook. Claims made is probably the biggest no-no. You know, guaranteed success. That thing just gets shut down nowadays. But I've spent like an entire week getting an ad to run, and doesn't run. But you know what you can do sometimes, and that's where the boost comes in again. That's like a trick that worked. The page owner, I said, could you please post that thing? So we're not doing an ad, we're doing a post. And now I'd show you something. It's a nice trick. Let's go back to my continue. We're now doing the ad. You see create ad here? See how it says use existing post? It sometimes works. Now, this is funny. This is weird. You're not allowed to place an ad, but you can do a post that is actually the ad and then boost that post. I would still not boost the post. I would create an ad the way I showed you and just use the existing post. Funny to say, every time I've hit a snag with creating an ad, that use the existing post works. So I get the owner of the page to just do a post and say, can you please post that? And then I let it run for 5 days. And then once it's established, you know, these are just like words to describe a bit what's happening. I just kind of make an ad out of it. Go figure. That might help. But yeah, as I said, I think the thing to look at is there's so many mediums to do ads. If Facebook doesn't want your money, don't fight with Facebook. Sad as it is. LinkedIn might take your money, do LinkedIn ads. You know, it's TikTok might take your money, do TikTok ads. Just if you're struggling with one platform, look at another one. There are many out there. Facebook is just got a big reach, and the lookalike audience is awesome. But yeah, at one point you just have to go, nah. As I said, if I haven't got a good image, I really have a problem placing an ad on Facebook because I know it's going to tank. It's so image centric. You know, so there are actually lots of reasons not to do an ad. But I'd also like to point out, just try it. Try it with a small budget. Try it with a simple ad. Don't flip around with all these buttons and things that you can put on, and just see how it works and if it works. And go from there. Any other question? Nah, lots of information, isn't it? Now, I promise you one thing. Once you start getting an ads, you'll kind of have a lot of things go, why isn't that working? Come back the next day. Facebook is at the moment stretched to its limits with everyone on Facebook all the time. Their entire crew is now working from home, so they're not catching up with errors in the software. There is weird stuff happening. Drives me sometimes mad. But yeah, I think it's more important that you attend the account every day a little than try and do it once a month, 5 hours. Every day, just a little bit, often does a lot. Do a headline, do a thing, get back the next day. You've got time, don't forget that. Every day a little does a lot on Facebook. Okay. Yeah, and look, as I said, there's a question here. if there's any further questions or whatsoever, just you can always get in touch with me. I'm happy to answer these kind of questions. It's better to do it now than, as I said in the beginning, to get an account and you just go, oh my God, how do I be nice now? How do I tell things nicely? Thanks, Jody.
Okay, thanks everyone.
Yep, I just stopped the screen share now. Yep, here we go.
See you guys.
Thanks so much. That was really good.
No, thanks.
I've taken lots of notes. And now I've got to go learn them.
Use the Facebook. It's funny, but Facebook has really good help pages. Facebook for Business is a treasure trove. But it's a lot to read.
Blueprints, Facebook blueprints thing that I remember reading, and it's quite a lot there. What you've done is actually almost consolidated what they said into what's actually manageable to actually understand.
That was my aim today, to just show you what is really important to focus on, and kind of what to go. Yeah, that's all nice fluff. Yeah.
Yeah, totally agree. No, it was really good. Thank you very much indeed.
Mm-hmm. So, Alex, where are you?